Hey, you know how we do here. We just give you the facts, nothing but the facts, and we tell you our opinion based on the facts. Michigan should be banned from the NCAA tournament, although it's not called the NCAA tournament, the Final Four, as the plot doth thicken. Michigan's a mess. The FBI is in there, the NCAA is in there, and yet the Michigan man is sitting there whining, crying, and moaning, and I've had enough of all of it. All right, we also have a trade in the NBA. James Harden, he gone. We'll be right back. Don't At Me starts right now, people. Yeah, you know what? Here's the world that we live in. Here's the world maybe that we all live in, and it's a simple world, and it is simply this. Innocent until proven guilty. Well, I think that's crap when it comes to the NCAA. I think that's absolute garbage. That's for a court of law, and we certainly understand that. You know, people complain all the time about what's the point in going backwards, meaning you find out a school's been cheating. And then 3 years later, you go backwards and say, hey, look, you're going to forfeit your wins against Central Michigan or against Bowling Green or against IUPUI. What good does that do? It does none. Here's what I'm proposing. Tell me what you think. If the NCAA has the goods, if the NCAA has the goods on Michigan and their sign stealing, which many in the Big Ten, in the coaching society are just so pissed off about, they can't even think straight. Well, listen, if they have the goods, then they must sit down with Michigan right now and put out the goods and say, prove us wrong. This is what we have. If you do not, then you are not participating in the Final Four this year, if you make it. If you do not, if you cannot prove your innocence, because we have the goods. Now, if the NCAA doesn't have the goods, then screw that. You can't do that. But if they've got the goods on Michigan, if they can sit here and they can say, hey, look, here's what you did, here's when you did it, here's who did it, boom, 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 boom. Then what you must do, if Michigan does not or cannot disprove that, then guess what? They have got to be banned from the Final Four. Period. You know, this garbage about we've got to wait 3, 4, 5 years to figure it all out. No, that's total crap. No, that's no good. See, the reason it's no good is because it hurts the programs that get eliminated because Michigan cheated. Say, for example, Michigan beats Ohio State. Michigan should go. But I got to tell you, if Ohio State on a one loss loses an opportunity to play in the Final Four because Michigan's cheated all year, or Florida State misses a chance to play in the Final Four this year with these kids, these coaches, this program, then that's wrong. And I think I listen to all of the national guys, and they always whine when the NCAA comes backwards. They always complain, well, what good does it do to forfeit wins from 2020? What good does it do to bowl ban for something happened in 2020? Good, I've got the solution. You got a lot of people there. There should be nothing more important for the NCAA enforcement than what's going on in Michigan right now. This is your most high-profile sport with one of, if not the most high-profile team, and they are cheating, and the Big Ten coaches that I have heard from know it and have known it. So, here's the solution. Makes everybody except for Michigan happy. Maybe some of you legal scholars aren't happy about it either, but so what? No one ever said the NCAA is a court of law. Everybody tells me they don't have subpoena power. Fine. Don't make it a court of law. See this? This is our file. This is our file on you, Michigan. Here's what you did. Here's when you did it. Here's how it was done. And here's who did it. Now, this is what we got. We're going to ban you from the FBS or whatever the hell you call it, college football playoff. We're going to ban you. We're going to ban you, and we're going to ban you, period. And if you don't like it, hey, prove us wrong. Go ahead and prove us wrong. And that's how you go about the business of figuring this whole thing out. That's how you go about the business of making sure that the NCAA is doing their job. It should appease everybody, should it not? It should appease the whole world. The whole world should be appeased. Why? because now we don't have guys with talking about, well, the NCAA waited. No, we don't have that anymore. So let's get into the latest. Now, I don't know exactly what's true or not. I just show you the stuff that comes to me. I got a call yesterday from a guy that absolutely 1,000% knows within the Big Ten. And he's like, hey, Dan, here's the deal, big boy. There is going to be video, unless it gets squelched, which is always a possibility. There is going to be video of Michigan's, Connor Stallions on the sideline, and now it's shown to be Central Michigan, helping Central Michigan against Michigan State decipher their signs. He wore a little costume, a hat, some glasses, all the stuff that people wear when they are trying to disguise themselves. So, of course, all over the place yesterday, pictures start showing up, and there it is. The guy does look like, I don't know if it's him. I have no idea. It appears to be him. It fits with what I was talking about. I had a reporter from one of the Detroit newspapers tell me, yeah, it was the Central Michigan State game. And voila, later on in the evening, there it is. Hey, look, I don't know what to tell you, but that sure looks like him now. People are going all over the place, and they're deciphering different things. Well, he's bald. That's hair on the side of his head. Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's the son of one of the coaches who, actually looks like he has a built-up, strong-built chest guy. Not sure who it is, but I will tell you this. It was a little bit ironic, to me anyway, that I get this call yesterday. I have a long conversation with a guy that says, you don't need to use my name, but everybody in the Big Ten is pissed off about it because this has been going on. Now, you look deeper, and the guy McElvain or whatever the hell his sorry ass is, the coach at Central Michigan, and a couple other coaches, guess what? They coached at Michigan with this guy. And all of a sudden, this guy is on the sideline with a credential, a hat, glasses. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's just there as a friend. Maybe he's just there watching the game. Don't know. But certainly people within the Big Ten who presented this to me seem to know. We'll see what happens, but it is fascinating. I'm just telling you what I would do. And I would do this in a heartbeat. It would take me 0 seconds if I had the goods. If I don't have the goods, then you need to shut the hell up. Look, if you don't have the goods, nobody wants to hear from you. It's literally that simple. But if you got the goods and you're the NCAA, you sit down and you say, this is what we have. Prove us wrong. I'm banning them. If they cheated this year, I'm banning them this year. And I'm going to get into my Final Four with and my Final Four without Michigan also. Here's another one. Multiple sources from one Big Ten school. I'm telling you, Big Ten teams are pissed. Told Sports Illustrated that a coach at a different school called them before playing Michigan to warn them that the Wolverine ball boys on their sideline listened to play calls, communicated information to the sideline, holding the ball up in one hand to indicate a pass and in the other to indicate a run. I don't know. You tell me. Makes perfect sense. I'm not even mad about it. I've never understood why when you're playing Michigan or Ohio State or anybody, ball boys from the other team are on the other side. That's like having somebody in the dugout for the other team. I'm not doing it. Like having somebody sitting on your bench for the other team. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Not even a little bit. Not happening. No chance. Zip, zero, zilch. Not going to go on. But it's amazing. All this stuff, and I told you this a few weeks ago, all this stuff will start coming because, frankly, that's what happens. That is exactly what happens. Now, you can say to me the NCAA is worried about a lawsuit. Of course they are. They're all for a lifetime. But if I'm the NCAA, as simple as I can make this, Michigan, prove me wrong. Well, it's not. Hey, man, it's not a court of law, man. What about innocent till proven guilty? Yeah, it's not a court of law, man. It ain't. So you're guilty. I got the goods means you're guilty. I'm the judge. I got the goods. You have done this, and this. And I've had enough of you. I've had enough of all of you. And don't tell me, last thing, I got all these Michigan men. Actually, they're like third string, all whatevers, that couldn't play dead and didn't get into Michigan because their SATs stunk. Basically morons telling me, well, Harbaugh, he wouldn't do that, blah, 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 blah. Really? Harbaugh's own school suspended him for 3 games. Harbaugh yesterday said those that know us the best think the most of us. Well, that's total crap. Those that know Harbaugh the best suspended him for 3 games. I mean, people can just say stuff, and that's why really a lot of you should just listen to ESPN, because nobody's going to have this. No one's going to come close to having this. You know, Barrett Sports Media wrote that I'm the only guy capable of talking about this. That's what I said, and they're right. You're not going to hear this anywhere else. You're going to hear stupid. You're going to hear all kind of stupid stuff. I'm giving you the real deal. The people that know us the most think the highest of us or think the most of us. Really? They suspended you. That's how much they think of Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. That's how much. And he got suspended for cheating and lying. Now, just think about this. You're the athletic director. You're Ward Manuel, who I really like. So you're Ward Manuel. And you're looking at this clown, and you're going, yeah, man. Good thing you're winning, Jimbo. I got to suspend your ass for not only cheating, but lying as well. Now, just think about that. You're the boss. I mean, your first inclination, if you have any satchel, is if your employee is a cheat and a liar, chances are you're getting rid of that employee. If your spouse is a cheat and a liar, chances are you're finding yourself a new spouse. Well, this is really no big deal. Well, if it's really no big deal, then don't do it. As I've said many times, there are only a few ways Jim Harbaugh at this point in his career can get fired. 1, cheat. Again. And again. And again. 2, shtup something you're not supposed to be shtupping. Farm animal, secretary, you know what I'm saying. Sex, always sex. Steal money. You steal money, you can always get fired. Anytime you see a high school coach get fired weirdly, it's usually about shtupping something you're not supposed to or stealing. Always. Really not college guys for the most part, but you know what I'm saying. And then, of course, DUI, something of that nature, you know, something nefarious. But Harbaugh not going to do those other things. But he ain't afraid to, oh man, he ain't afraid to at best bend the rules. I mean, he's already been suspended 3 games. See, this is why I'm not coaching anymore. I never cheated enough to get suspended. It's why I was the best radio host in the country for 14 years, because I was controversial enough to get suspended. Damn. The goal of the American worker should be suspended with pay, not without pay, always with pay. Well, let's morph right into my Final Four, and I've got 2 of them. See, in my world, I don't have the goods on Michigan. I don't have them sitting right here. So in my world, what I do is this. I go, all right, I don't know, but I would say I'm going to give you a Final Four with Michigan and without Michigan. I'm going to do it every Tuesday. So let's dive in. My Final Four without Michigan, Georgia's number 1. Look, I'm not big on that whole, you know, to beat the man, you got to be the man. And I don't care what you did the last 2 years unless I'm a Georgia player, and I think it's great. But in terms of this year, I don't buy into the fact that because you won the last 2 national championships, you stay number 1 until someone beats you. I don't do that. I just think Georgia's the best football team in the country. I think they've played an okay schedule. They've handled everybody. They don't have the same dominance up front as they've had in the past, and they may lose. But as I sit here right now, Georgia is number 1. And the number 2, I got to tell you, Florida State, to me, I mean, they just belly want people. Florida State is one of those teams that I'm not going to lie to you. You could make the case that Michigan, obviously much more popular nationwide, not back in the 80s or maybe the 90s, but much more popular nationwide than Florida State. And the NCAA, the college football playoff folks, are so into money that they would never take Michigan out with Michigan's brand and put in a team like Florida State. But hey, look, see, here at the worldwide headquarters of OutKick's Don't At Me, and I would say this is the worldwide headquarters of OutKick's Don't At Me, my basement. But anyway, here's the deal. Florida State's just a better football team than anybody else, at least when I have watched them. Look, you got to understand something. This changes. This isn't like set in stone every single day, every single way. Things change around here. Like, look, every week the top 4 could change, and they should change. Hey, you got to play well, baby. You got to play your brains out. You know what I'm saying? You got to play hard. We ain't got no time for you. We got no time for you not playing well. And look, end of the day, Florida State's played really well and is getting whatever they deserve, and good for them. Ohio State. Look, Ohio State, how do I put this? They're not dominant, so we're all supposed to not like them. I don't need dominance in my world, but it doesn't kill you to continue to win. And I will tell you this. You go into Madison, Wisconsin, and you get a double-digit win by 14, and you're Ohio State. Look, I understand that a lesser school can go into Madison, Wisconsin, and maybe come out with a win. But when you're Ohio State, man, you know what you are? You're the biggest thing. You're going to get everybody's best effort. Now, same thing with Michigan, same thing with Washington, same thing with Georgia, same thing now with Florida State, but it's just the way it is. So people are complaining that Ohio State only won by 14 at Wisconsin. Hey, don't compare those scores to others. I remember walking in the gyms playing for Indiana going, whoa, man, these people want to eat our heads. These people want to kill us. Well, it isn't like, I thought it was like that everywhere until I would go scouting other teams before, you know what, they canceled it in 1980 or 93, and I'm like, wait a second, this isn't the same crowd. Totally different when Bobby Knight walked in there. Last is Washington. I'm watching Washington and Oregon a few weeks ago, and Michael Penix is really good. All right, don't get me wrong, he's really good. But I got to tell you, I'm watching them going, yeah, I think they're really good. But they would be the team that I would drop out. They would be the team that I'd be like, yeah, I don't think so. No, I'm not going that route. I'm not going that deal. Not happening. No, we're not doing it. But I don't know. You know, it's all going to change. You know, what happens if Washington beats Oregon again, then away we go. If Oregon beats Washington, then what are we going to do? I don't know. But I go by the week. That's what you really should do. And the college football playoffs are going to be announced tonight. And we're going to find out. Okay, here is with Michigan. I got Georgia number 1. I still have Georgia number 1. I just think, look, again, it's not about being the man to beat the man or any of that kind of stuff. It is simply about, I think Georgia's the best football team. I don't think adding Michigan into this, I don't think Michigan, frankly, has played anybody. Now, everybody tells me they're really good, and that's cool. They can be really good, but I'm not buying them. But I am buying Florida State. I just think Florida State is playing at a really high level. I think they're getting better. I think the way they played this weekend was off the chain. They went into Wake, big game, big crowd, all that, and beat the hell out of them. I'll put Michigan number 3. Now, the eye test tells me Michigan is a good football team. The eye test tells me Michigan is a talented football team with athletes, traditional big old fat ass guys up front, and the quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, who looks like he may be the next Tom Brady. We got to say it every week on the show, don't we? The next Tom Brady. Last week it was Brock Purdy. This week we'll go J.J. McCarthy, and it's an easy switch simply because J.J. McCarthy's at Michigan. And a lot of people at Ohio State are mad at Ryan Day because Ryan Day recruited the quarterback McCord as opposed to recruiting J.J. McCarthy. I don't know what's real. Nobody knows what's real. Who cares? Both got decent quarterbacks. McCarthy's probably the better one, having a really good year, but he's not allowed to be in the Heisman Trophy and my Heisman Trophy ballot if I had a vote. We'll get into that in a little bit later. But anyway, I don't think Michigan's played anybody. I honestly don't. I don't think Michigan, where, huh? They got to play Penn State and Ohio State coming up. Look, they get through Penn State. I believe it's at Penn State. I think it's going to be a whiteout. Then I'm all in on you. Yay, Ron, go fight, win. But until that happens, they set up their schedule soft because Harbaugh understands that what's going to happen in the Big Ten is what's going to determine it. Don't risk a loss early. I get that. That's smart. And now, ladies and gentlemen, hey, they're boom, 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 coming off a bye. Harbaugh says he's refreshed. Good for them. Ohio State, I don't know. They got to get their running backs healthy. One of the two teams is going to be in the playoffs for sure, obviously. We'll see how it goes. But I got to tell you, Ohio State is one of those teams that just seems to win. And if you got to be something, being a team that just seems to win is not a bad thing. Now, you better be uber talented. And I've told you this yesterday. If you're playing close games, guess what eventually is going to happen? Eventually, booty is going to be kicked, and you are going to lose. So there you go. I got Pham calling me. The hell's Pham want? I like Pham back in the day. Spam and eggs and ham and spam and eggs. That was from Monty Python. A lot of you are way too young for that. Hey, I got a feel-good story. You ready for this? I got a feel-good story. It was Game 1, World Series, Game 2 actually, World Series. Tommy Pham. We talked about Tommy Pham a while ago. He confronted a fan who was being an idiot, and the fan, of course, cried like a schoolgirl, and away we went. Don't get mad at me for saying cried like a schoolgirl. I used to say that to my daughter all the time. You're crying like a schoolgirl. Shut up, Dad. You can't tell me to shut up. I'm your dad. Anyway, it's a family thing. All right, so Tommy Pham is sitting there with a chance. I want you to think about this, to be the first guy to go 5 for 5 in a World Series game. How about that? First guy ever. How about that? That's pretty good. So, next thing you know, he says, I'm going to give Jock Peterson his first at bat. I'm going to relinquish. He came to me, this is the coach, Torey Lavallo, the manager. He came to me and he said, hey, I need you to get my boy in the bat. And I said, are you sure? He said, 100% sure. Pham was. And so with the Diamondbacks leading 7-1 in the ninth inning, Peterson pinch hit for Pham, who already had 4 hits in the game. That's pretty good. I want you to think about this. You got a chance to make history. Oh, this isn't that Jock Peterson. This is Jace Peterson. The reserve infielder grounding into a force out, but Peterson can now boast he had an at-bat in the World Series. He's that kind of guy. Peterson said of Pham, he's a great teammate, a great player. He did an awesome thing that a friend would do. I really can't say enough about it. Adding to the story is what I said earlier. No player had ever gone 5 for 5 in the World Series. No player had ever. Now, baseball's got some history. And you and I both know the one thing about baseball is they will keep track of that history. Tommy Pham, no player, and Pham turned down the chance. We're boys. Pham said, I wanted to do this for him. I'm not going to lie to you. People do things in sports that I frankly never thought of doing. I never thought of doing that. Like those people do that all the time. And I'm like, hey, I never thought of doing that. Where the hell did that come from? I'm a selfish slob. I'm a selfish pig. I'm not happy with me right now. I'm not. Why I got to be so selfish? I want you to think about it. So today, what I am going to do is I am going to go out and I am going to do something nice for somebody. I am. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm looking at my sheet here and I'm writing down, do something nice and credit Tommy Pham. Because that's pretty cool. So I suggest we all do the same thing. I suggest we all go out and we do something nice. One point, Tommy Pham was 6 for 7 in the World Series. I don't know if you saw this. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But the World Series Game 1, which was one of the absolute great games. Like, it was a great game. Corey Seager, 2-run Johnson, bottom of the ninth. Walk-off home run by Garcia, who's been the stud of the postseason. And by the way, Seager hit another 2-run Johnson yesterday and made an unbelievable play at short. But that game, Game 1, was the least watched World Series game of the modern era. They actually said on record. Wow. Now, I don't know when they started looking at World Series games and the Nielsen ratings. I don't know when all that crap started in. But I got to tell you, you're telling me that is the least watched game. So people say, hey, Dan, why don't you talk about it on your show? And my answer is always the same. If you're not watching it on the tube, then you ain't listening to it at a recap on Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning. But I got to tell you, it's fun stuff. Hey, great crowds. Corey Seager, the Texas shortstop, is worth the price of admission. The Garcia kid in right field was designated for assignment, DFA'd by the Cardinals. They didn't want him. Any team could have picked him up. So guess what? The Rangers pick him up, and he's become a superstar here in the playoffs. World Series, been great, except here's the problem. He got hurt. He got hurt. That ain't good that he gets hurt. So anyway, long story short, it's been great, but nobody cares. I care. Why? Same reason I always care. See this head? See this big fat ass? It needs something to do at night. It needs something to bet on at night. By the way, I went 1 for 3, but my big bet yesterday, my man Phil Sack is unbelievable. He took 3 bets. He took the World Series game, but he took the Diamondbacks, so I did too. He took over in the football of 45, and I got to tell you, what a crap beat that was, because they went in the end zone and some clown backup left guard held. Bah! And the big one, because I figured he studied this, listen to this. This guy's so good, he took Oklahoma City -3.5 in the first half of their game yesterday with Detroit. That cash standing on its head. So we made money yesterday, even though we went 1 for 3. Remember, you always got to know how you're betting. How you're betting is as important as what you're betting, ladies and gentlemen. And don't at me about it, because it's magical. Anyway, the World Series is great. Do yourself a favor. Give it a watch. Quit whining about baseball. Baseball's not slow anymore. The players are unbelievable. They make great plays. Everybody's excited. The crowds are off the chain. Yo. All right. Listen to this story. I think you're going to like this story. And by the way, we got breaking news from last night, sticking with the baseball. James Harden and P.J. Tucker, the corner shooter, have been traded. James Harden, the menace to society NBA style, and P.J. Tucker, an absolute professional, got traded to the Clippers. Listen to this. For Nicholas Batum, Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, K.J. Martin, and draft picks. So there you go. That's a lot of nothing, I guess. I mean, Marcus Morris been around. Batum was pretty good at one time. Covington was all right. K.J. Martin and draft picks. So here we go. You're going to hear it. Hey, man. All chips are in on the L.A. Clippers, man. Yeah, except now they've got 2 of the biggest whats in the NBA. By biggest whats, I mean what's you going to get from them. What's you going to get from Paul George, PG-13, or whatever the hell he calls himself, because he's always hurt in the playoffs or he's always yakking it up in the playoffs. What's you going to get from James Harden, because James Harden gets crabby, ruins teams, handles the ball too much, and never wins nothing because, well, he's just no fun to be around or play with. Might be fun at the crib, might be fun at the club, yo. Bottle service, velvet ropes, naked strippers. That's not really my thing, but hey, who am I to say? I'm also not a 30-something-year-old man making $36 million a year. Oh, don't forget the half. Hell, I'm not even making the half a year. $36.5 million. I don't know what to tell you, but James Harden getting traded is a good thing for Philadelphia. Now I got to root for Philadelphia because Embiid seems like a good guy. Harden is gone, and now I want Philadelphia to win games. Period. It's what I want. Hey, I don't know if you saw this, but this is unbelievable. Finally, somebody steps up in the world that we live in and says no more. No more. There is a restaurant. There is a restaurant that says, hey, look, I got to tell you, we've had enough of you parents that don't parent. We've had enough of you. We've had enough of kids running around like crazy people. We've had enough. Hey, how about you decide that you are going to be human beings with your kids? Now, people are mad. It's a Georgia restaurant. You know what they did? They put in a tax. They put in a tax that said, hey, look, it's a parenting tax. You're a jackass. Your kids are jackasses. You don't know how to parent, and we ain't taking the brunt. You're hurting our business. And if you're going to hurt our business, then we're going to tax you. Now, they're catching a lot of hell for it. You know what? I don't care. The bottom line is simply this. Here it is. A restaurant in Georgia is raising eyebrows from some and a standing ovation from others for instituting an unable to parent fee on checks if they deem necessary. According to NBC 29, the news team, Toco Riverside Restaurant is the establishment that decided to throw a little something something on its menu. At the bottom, there's a line that says an adult surcharge, meaning if you are not able to parent, if your kid is such a pain in the you-know-what, and you haven't done your job controlling little Johnny or little Susie Rottencrotch, well, guess what? You're going to pay a little extra. That's right. How about that? You're going to pay a little extra. It's a parenting tax. You know, yesterday or 2 days ago, there was a shooting in Indy. 9 people were shot, 1 was dead, and everyone was between like 16 and 18 years old. And I don't give a damn if people get mad about me saying this, because of course I got called racist, but I don't give a damn. I asked, I guarantee you, none of those shooters or the shooter or a lot of the victims didn't have fathers. Now, everybody gets mad about that, right? Obama said it and everybody praised it. Dungy said it, he's a conservative, and everybody lost their mind on Coach Dungy. Look, the bottom line is simply this. Fathers matter. Fathers that go around like farm animals, sticking their you-know-what into women having kids, and next thing you know, they don't become fathers. They're just some guy that sticks his you-know-what, or they become fathers but not dads. You suck. You got a kid, parent him. You got a kid, be the adult. And you women, my body, my choice, my ass. Yeah, it's your choice. Don't spread your legs for some frickin' slap down the street just because you've had 2 glasses of wine and immediately you spread your legs. Or don't go chasing some dude and try to get knocked up when you know he's a slap but he's got some money. It goes both ways. Probably not allowed to say that, but I don't care. By the way, back to the restaurant. There's no specific price on this, but some say it was about $50. I like it. It seems like this restaurant likes to throw some special fees. There's an 18% gratuity for separate checks, a $3 plate sharing charge. Yeah, I don't know. But if all of a sudden I'm sitting there and they put 50 bones on me because little Joey is a pain in the prick, guess what? I'm going to pay my bill minus the 50. I'm not giving you $50 just because you think you can. Look, now, if my kid's a real pain, I'll give you $50 to take the kid, put him in the back room, let him wash a dish or 2. But I guarantee you, unlike a lot of you who let your kids act like jackasses on Twitter, if my kids acted up in a restaurant, it would have lasted 2 seconds. You know what? It never actually happened. Because why? Because I'm a dad, and I'm acting like a dad. I'm a father. I'm acting like a father. I'm an adult male. I'm acting like an adult male. People are driving me nuts with your crap. Don't be a frickin' soft-ass parent. But little Johnny needs to know his emotions. No, little Johnny needs to know to do what the hell you're telling him. And if that upsets you, I got 2 words for you. Kiss my backside, Joe Biden style. That's right. That's right. Huh. I like what Ruel's saying. He's got 8 guys lined up for some pickleball, and they're betting $20 each. Love that. Love that. Hey, Dan, what if Joey gets diarrhea and starts crying? Hey, you're going to have to pay $50. Take little Joey's ass outside. Let him crap in the parking lot. There is absolutely, my Tommy John recovering son at Cracker Barrel got stiff tips on 5 checks yesterday. Yeah, see, I don't understand not tipping. I will never understand not tipping. I won't. Now, it's pissing me off that they're starting it at 20% now. I don't know who decided because they're not making $2 an hour anymore. Bidenomics suck. The Biden economy or Biden economics, you can kiss my backside with that. That's complete crap. I'm not happy with it. And how the hell, speaking of that, did I just get a notification that my credit card was just used to buy something? It happens all the time, and it's making me bat blank crazy. Hey, did you see this? Speaking of girls spreading their legs, the Kardashians now, Kim Kardashian, she of stooping every NBA player with a pulse, guess what? She now is associated with the NBA for something other than, guess what? Kim Kardashian and the Kardashian family have had the dates with Booker, Harden, Odin, Clarkson, married Chris Humphries, Tristan Thompson was Khloe, Kendall worked her way through Blake Griffin and Ben Simmons and Devin Booker. Khloe worked her way through James Harden, Lamar Odom, and Tristan Thompson. How about that Scott Disick guy? Like, what's he doing? You got Kendall, you got Kim, you got Khloe. They're just working their way through the NBA, so the NBA rewarded them by allowing Skims, S-K-I-M-S, to be the official underwear of the NBA. See, it pays. It pays to throw it around. It does. Spread them, take it, and get paid, baby. That's the Kardashian way. The Kardashian way is all about money, and the NBA, of course. You know what I see this as? I see this as hush money. That's how I see it. I do. I see it as hush money. I see they've worked their way through so many NBA players, and so many NBA players had pillow talk about fixed games, about drug use, about all the stupid stuff going on in the NBA, that the NBA said, look, I know you got the goods on us. I'm being facetious here. I know you got the goods on us. I know you can give us a problem. So how about we make you the official underwear of the NBA? Why does the NBA need an official underwear? And the thing about it is, are people going to go out and buy it? I will tell you, the Kardashians, particularly Kendall and Kyrie, or one of them little girls, I don't know who they are, one of those two, are so popular that when they came to Bloomington, Indiana, and went to my boy's place, the upstairs pub, it was like the president came in. Black limos, security, private rooms, and good for her, she was pouring tequila shots, but she was drinking water. Smart. You don't need a drunk Kardashian out there in the middle of the street taking on all comers. Nobody needs that action. Or getting in her car and driving up to Indianapolis, hunting for the closest NBA player in a drunken stupor. Nobody needs that. Nobody. And I mean nobody. At least I don't need that. Maybe you do. But who needs that in our society? But by all accounts, they were pretty good. I was asked, speaking of tipping, what's the best DoorDash tip I ever got? True story. I started DoorDashing because I lost $4,000 one day and I wanted to pay my family back. I had to come up with $4,000. First game, NCAA tournament, first year that online gambling was legal in Indiana. Started it at World of Beer where I was doing my show. Long story short, Ohio State lost, Purdue lost, and then Texas lost, and I was betting the crap out of all three of them live. $4,000 lost, started DoorDashing. About the third day of DoorDashing, I was over at Bridgewater Country Club playing golf. Got done playing, had to drive across town on the way home. I thought, I'm going to DoorDash. I pull up with a big bag. Bunch of dudes are outside, young fathers. True story. I got a picture of them right here. Young fathers, all right? So young fathers are drinking beers, they're hanging out, their kids are playing in the neighborhood, their wives are probably off with Greg Doyle somewhere, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, they go, Dan, they go, we thought you were just BSing on your radio show. I said, no, man, I owe my family $4,000. Now, people have made fun of me for that, but that's on them, not me. I mean, you want to make fun of me for being a good dude and paying your family back, that's on you. Now I DoorDash because I want to make money. for my bikes program. So I go about once a week, twice a week, make 25, 30 bucks, and then I go on. But anyway, these guys, and I'm trying to find a picture, and I'll send it to our guys so they can put them up. Said, Dan, we didn't know. So I pulled up. Guy gave me $100. Guy did. He gave me $100. I go, man, don't give me $100. I don't need it. He goes, no. He goes, I heard what you're doing. I think it's awesome. Here's $100 from all of us. There are 4 or 5 guys. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the best DoorDash tip I ever got. I'm trying to find a picture of the guys because the only thing they asked of me was to take a selfie. I guess I could do it in a commercial. All right, we'll be right back. The great Chad Withrow joins us. We're going to talk some NFL coming up.
I am a big fan of her. Everybody, you're also a big fan of her. We all are. It just has to be said. So let's go ahead and bring in the woman of the hour, Riley Gaines. Hello, Riley. I'm happy to see you again. I feel like I get to spend so much time with you these days.
I know, right? Very good to see you. And I will say it is rainy here as well, which just sucks.
Okay, so I know the last time we talked, you were like bouncing all over the place. Where are you right now?
I'm actually in Nashville, but headed to New York today. So I'll be on deck.
Okay, well, welcome. You get to go from rain to rain.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, Riley, let's get into the topic that we were just discussing. Obviously, Clay being a little bit sarcastic in the way that he framed the question, but he's saying he's willing to make a bet that the WNBA champions, still being the champions, professional basketball players, would not be able to hold a candle to any high school boys basketball team in the country. Is he being sexist, or is he just speaking facts that men and women are very different in terms of what they are capable of athletically?
Boom. Right there. It's not sexist to say men and women are different. Like you said, it's reality, it's truth, it's common sense, it's logic, it's reasoning. We all know it. We learned it in actually, I don't even think you ever even have to really learn this in school. You know this from when you're young. It's inherent to know that men and women are different. And that's not to say that women aren't inferior, or that women are inferior, or we're not capable or strong or anything else. It is simply to say we are different. And we can look through past events. Let's look at the U.S. women's national soccer team. Let's look at Serena and Venus Williams. Let's look at these hockey teams that have done this, and the outcome is always the same.
Hey, you know him, you love him, you listen to him, you watch him. He, ladies and gentlemen, is Chad Withrow, co-host of Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow. All right, in the great city of Chicago, Dr. Withrow, they are gearing up for a big push to bring gentleman Jim Harbaugh to Chicago. Who are your coaches that are on the hot seat right now?
Man, thank you for calling me a doctor, by the way. And a few people acknowledge that doctorate that I got, that false doctorate back in the day.
Sure.
Look, I think it's easy to point to Matt Eberflus as a guy who's likely on his way out in the NFL. The other top one that comes to mind is Ron Rivera in Washington, where there could be something there. I've always kind of linked up Harbaugh with Washington if he ends up going to the NFL, because I think Josh Harris is going to try to make a splash of a hire. I don't think it's just going to be the typical promote the offensive or defensive coordinator that's the hot name. I think he's going to go with some either coach that's not coaching right now or a big college name to fill that spot in Washington if, in fact, Ron Rivera is out. This whole Jim Harbaugh thing, I know you've been all over it, Dan, and we've talked a lot about it too. It's fascinating to me that the NFL, with this report, is considering almost what would be collusion, blackballing Jim Harbaugh because of NCAA violations. Now, I could completely understand why an NFL owner would look at this and say, hey, the key thing for us in the NFL or any pro sport or any sport in general is the integrity of the game. And the last thing we can have is anyone questioning the integrity of the game. So here you have a guy who's accused of, with his program, going out of his way to form an intelligence operation to discover signs of other teams that can affect point spreads, that can affect the outcome of the game, with an emphasis on sports betting across the NFL and cracking down on that, I can totally understand why the league might look at that and say, well, we should probably shy away from this guy. But the fact that they would have sort of a double secret probation and say that you can't coach as long as you're suspended by the NCAA, that's another step for the NFL. So I'm interested to see how this whole thing plays out. When the news first came down, Dan, probably like you, I'm thinking, well, this is his last year at Michigan. He's going to jump to the NFL. He's going to take that opportunity. He's going to go elsewhere. And then as it starts to unfold, I'm thinking he may not have a choice. The NFL may not want him, and the Michigan may end up firing him. So as the days go on here, it looks worse and worse for Jim Harbaugh.
You know, one of the things, or one of the people I wanted to ask you about is my personal favorite, Mike Vrabel. He's okay there in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, he's totally fine. I think the trade of Kevin Byard, Dan, that's sort of the reset button for the Titans. I know that they were at least talking to people about Derrick Henry. Maybe we find out something with Ryan Tannehill today if Minnesota gets desperate. But I think the start of that was Kevin Byard. And to me, that's the official reset. They've moved on to Will Levis now. He looked great in his first game. But now it's, can Mike Vrabel lead this next version of the Titans to an era of winning division titles? I think that's the question for Mike Vrabel. Amy Adams Strunk, the owner, really likes him. I think he's going to be completely fine. I don't see any scenario, especially after winning on Sunday, even if they were to somehow lose out, which I don't think is going to happen. But if that were to happen, maybe. But I just don't see it. I think that they're going to let Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon, after firing GM John Robinson a year ago, they're going to let them figure it out and see if they can work together and bring back whatever the Titans are going to be next, because it's not the old Titans. The Derrick Henry is going to move on after the year. No more Ryan Tannehill. Is Will Levis your franchise quarterback? A lot of questions left to be answered, but I think Mike Vrabel is going to be the guy that gets a chance to answer it.
Well, let's talk about Levis. I've said this, and I learned this when I was coaching. The first game guys get in, they play really well. I mean, honest to God, every guy I ever had transfer, I had 3 of them that got eligible at Christmas, in that time. They always play great the first night out. Is Levis the guy now? Is he the starter moving forward?
I think he is the starter. He's got to be. I thought the same thing. I was not high on Levis coming out of Kentucky, and I'm thinking maybe this is beginner's luck. There's a great example here in Nashville with Vince Young. When he came out of Texas, he started right around the same time, came in sometime in late October, I believe, and he took off. He was like a rocket ship for that Titans team. Wins NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. And then we saw what ended up happening with Vince Young. It steadily went downhill from that point on. And now you can chalk that up to people weren't ready for his style in the NFL or whatever. Defenses maybe caught up and figured it out. I don't know. Maybe Vince Young got worse, or it's just beginner's luck. But that's an example of you can't always judge what you have in that rookie year, especially with one game. But for one game, Will Levis was virtually perfect in this game. Did not put them in harm's way, was dropping it in a bucket, was throwing from different arm slots, had his feet in different positions at times, had a great rapport with DeAndre Hopkins. Dan, he was terrific for this one game. So he is the quarterback moving forward. Mike Vrabel's not going to say it, but that is what this franchise needs more than anything else. It changes the outlook of what the Titans need to do immensely if they go into this offseason feeling like Will Levis is their guy of the future. They've got a lot of salary cap room coming up this offseason. It changes with their approach in the draft, everything, if Will Levis can look even close to as good as he did on Sunday. He's not going to be that way every week. We all know that. But if that is just the height and we can get to the middle of what Will Levis really is this year, I think that's a good sign for the Titans moving forward. But they got to find out. They got to see what they have in the kid, because that's going to dictate a lot of their offseason plans.
It really does. I mean, once you get the quarterback solidified, now you can go elsewhere. We all, myself, I guess, included, everybody kind of said, Brock Purdy, you're the next guy. You started out great. Next thing you know, a couple bad decisions in a three-game losing streak. Were we a little quick to not only crown Purdy, but also crown that the 49ers can win with anybody?
Crazy, Dan, because I was slow to crown him anything. You know, I kept thinking all offseason and with the success last year, oh, this is a nice story. This kid's doing his job. He's a 7th-round draft pick. But, hey, anybody can do this in Kyle Shanahan's offense, right? We've seen it before. He doesn't need a great quarterback to make that offense work. So it's not all Brock Purdy. But then as he kept winning and kept performing well, my mind changed to, well, maybe it is Brock Purdy. Maybe he is the guy. Maybe he is the one to lead the 49ers to a Super Bowl. And now the last 3 weeks has happened. The moment I started thinking that it was Brock Purdy. We had a discussion on yesterday's show about the quarterback with the most pressure on them going into week 9. Brock Purdy's definitely on that list of guys that's facing pressure now because these last 3 weeks have not been good for the 49ers. I still think he's the answer for them, and I think he's going to get better than he has been these last few weeks moving forward. But I think you look at Desmond Ridder with the Falcons, who was pulled from the game on Sunday with a sort of a fake injury, evaluated for concussion but cleared. But the coach said, he just seemed off. But it's not an injury issue. We just thought he seemed off, so we wanted to protect him. I'm thinking, okay, sure. It was a performance issue because Taylor Heineke came in and looked better. There's some quarterbacks facing a lot of pressure. There's going to be up to 11 quarterbacks out. So you're going to see 11 backups in games. That's more than a third of the league, which is crazy to think about. But some of those guys that are out, I think, are facing pressure because their backups are looking better. See Will Levis in Nashville with the Titans. And there's some other guys that are going to be playing this week that I think are under a lot of scrutiny. And Brock Purdy is one of those guys for the 49ers.
Let me change gears. I know you guys talked about Michigan yesterday. I've said this, people complain. First off, the NCAA is not a court of law. Court of law, innocent until proven guilty. People always complain. They go the other way. They say, you know what, I don't like them going backwards and bowl bans for things that happened in 2020 or scholarships reduced. So my thing is this. If the NCAA has the goods, if they actually have the goods, I think that they should sit down with Michigan and say, we got the goods, here it is, prove us wrong. And if you can't prove us wrong, I'm banning you from the college football playoffs this year. What do you think?
I think it's the only way to truly affect Michigan, Dan. I really do. And the fact that the NCAA is on campus now, and I think the Big Ten should get involved in this also, because it is the Big Ten that was alerted to it. It's the Big Ten that's contacting every school on Michigan's schedule, right, and telling them what they have, what information they have on them, and what's been going on. Now we had Bobby Carpenter on yesterday who talked to some Big Ten coaches. There are teams threatening to not play Michigan. Can you imagine the mess that causes? If someone goes to Tony Petitti in the Big Ten office and says, yeah, we don't feel safe playing this game. Well, you got to play it or it's going to be a forfeit, may be the response. But there's a lot of big issues here. And the only way to really get at Michigan is to derail their possible national championship season right now. The ultimate way that Michigan's going to get hurt by this is they're going to lose a coach who's won a lot of games. Now, we can sit and talk about and debate how he won those games and if it was completely on the up and up throughout. But he's been very successful, and he's beaten Ohio State 2 years in a row. So that is going to be the biggest penalty to Michigan in all this is either with Harbaugh being forced to leave and try to go to the NFL or the NCAA saying he's got a show cause or Michigan saying we can't continue to deal with this. We got to get this guy out of here. That's going to be the biggest blow to Michigan football is losing their head coach. But you're right, Dan. If you want to affect them this year right now and hit them really where it hurts, you come in and say you're not eligible for a Big Ten championship. You're not eligible for a national championship this year because of what we have on you. That would certainly do the trick.
Yeah, I'd give them, okay, prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. Here's video, whatever they have. You know what I mean? Whatever.
And Dan, you know this. Already. You're a former head coach, so I want to ask you about this part of it too, right? Because here's going to be the response from Michigan. Coach Harbaugh didn't know about it. That's already the fallback plan. Jim Harbaugh in his press conference yesterday said, I stand by my initial statement that I had no knowledge of what's going on and we're completely cooperating with NCAA authorities, right? Now, the NCAA has come back in recent years and says, doesn't matter. You're supposed to know if you're the head coach if something like this is going on. But I think that's the fallback is even if they come in and say, here are the goods, we got the hard drives, we got the video evidence, we've got the payments, the Venmo, everything else. We know exactly what you were doing. Michigan's going to come back and say, well, that's great. We got to do something with all these guys in the offseason that did this, but our head coach knew nothing. I don't buy it. I don't buy it one bit. He hired the guy, and even if he claims he didn't know, he should have known about it. But you're a former head coach, Dan. Is that a viable argument to make that he didn't know?
No, it's not, because we all signed things that say we're responsible for our program, and it even got furthered going back. My thing would be great. All right, your head coach didn't know. Fine. But we are not allowing the entire program to play in this because of cheating within the program. So the head coach is one coach. By the way, we're paying this guy who is doing the cheating. He's a paid employee. No, I'll tell you this. The head coach, if you don't know, you may not know what's going on a Saturday night after the game down at Skeeps, which is the bar scorekeepers or gamekeepers, whatever it is. But you sure the hell have got to know what your assistant coaches are doing, what your people are doing, because you hired. I guarantee you this. I guarantee you that position that this guy was in was created by Harbaugh. Guarantee you. Now, whatever the position is called, whatever it was supposed to do, I promise you, because that's what happens. Calipari has created so many different positions at Kentucky. So wait a second. You created this position that we never had before, and you didn't know what the guy was doing? No. Move along. Then if you didn't, fine, you should have, and we're suspending the entire program. That's how I would look at it were I the head coach. Like, Dan, that's how I always looked at it as the head coach.
The kid wrote something called the Michigan Manifesto, and just pages upon pages of his plan for Michigan football. He presented it to assistant coaches and eventually to Jim Harbaugh. And part of this outline is, and he even said in text messages that's been reported, that they don't know what they need until you present it to them, talking about coaches. And that he presented him with a plan to be the director of intelligence for Michigan football or whatever that is. You cannot tell me that Jim Harbaugh, even when he's saying this, hey, I showed him something he didn't know he needed. It started with test scores, grades for recruits, a packet on that, and then it became this. I'm with you. I think Jim Harbaugh absolutely knew. They absolutely know the rule that's been around since 1994 that you can't scout off-site. They knew all these things. They decided to do it their own way, thinking they were outsmarting the competition, and it's come back to bite them. And the only way to get at Michigan is to not wait 2 or 3 years for the NCAA to decide on something. Right. It's to do something right now or for Jim Harbaugh to lose his job. That's the only way you affect them.
I agree. I completely agree. And I said that earlier, and I'll continue to say that. And the idea that he didn't know, okay, good. Yeah, you didn't know. Great. You don't know. Here's the other deal. Harbaugh said this yesterday. Harbaugh said, the people that know us the best think the most of us. Well, that's crap. The people that know him the best suspended him 3 games for being a cheat and a liar. I mean, you know what? In any other business, if the boss knows that one of his employees is a cheat and a liar, in any marriage, if the boss knows, or if your wife or your husband's a cheat and a liar, you're getting rid of them. So now, not only are you a cheat and a liar, now we're involved in this again. It'll be interesting because the bottom line on the NCAA, Chad, as you know, is they're 0 for a lifetime in lawsuits. So who knows? And that's where they don't want to be. All right, man, I'm talking to you at 4. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for coming on, my friend. Missed you.
Always love talking with you, Dan. Great to see you, and we'll talk with you later on our show. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. I'll be on Hot Mic coming up at 4 o'clock. Show runs from 3 to 6 Eastern time, and I'll be on at 4 o'clock, and we'll have a ton of great conversation because that is a wonderful show with great dudes. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, I'm banning Michigan. You don't like it? You don't like it. Shawne Merriman is going to join us. I got to ask him about some NFL stuff. I love talking to the Hall of Famer, Shawne Merriman.
Where we're headed is a next television contract for the college football playoff with a boatload of money. And they're trying to cut that off with a cap right now, where we went over it yesterday. 9% of the average Power 5 athletic budget goes to the players for student aid. The others, vast majority of the percentage, 42 to 45%, goes to coaches' salaries, staff, administration, and buyouts for previous coaches. I point all this out because got the Power 5 decision makers and the big college football decision makers. They are seeing dollar signs today. And that's because Netflix is getting into the sports streaming realm. They're finally dipping the toe in the water. And it's not just because they're promoting F1 or promoting certain PGA Tour golfers. It's more than that. They've already admitted that this is their foray into what could be live streaming of sports on Netflix. We've already seen it from Amazon. We've already seen it from Apple. Now Netflix is going to do it with the golf event that will feature PGA Tour members and F1 stars leading up to the Las Vegas Grand Prix. I bring this up because Netflix, Apple, and Amazon, that's where the next bucket load of money is going to come from. ESPN's already ponied up. We've seen the deals with CBS and Fox and NBC for the Big Ten, for the Big 12, and, of course, Notre Dame on their own. ACC is stuck where they are. Realignment has happened. More dollars are coming into this through the streamers.
Hey, I heard Aaron in the background. I didn't know I was back. The legend that is Shawne Merriman. Nice enough to take a few minutes with us. Hey, Shawne, I got a couple things for you, NFL-wise. All right, as a coach, over the course of time, I learned that the first game back for a player is usually really good. We saw it back. Will Levis back as a quarterback. In basketball, every guy that I had that transferred in at the semester, man, was like great their first game. Is there something to that in the NFL?
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where you got that build up the whole time, right? The whole time, what you going to do when you get back out there? That excitement, people seeing you also for the first time, got a big play in that. But it's mostly, man, just the anticipation of you sitting out the whole time, because what goes through your mind is like, oh, I'm going to show this person, or I'm going to show them. And that first time that people get an opportunity to see you is where you have the biggest spurt, the biggest energy. So I've been there, man. I've been injured and jumped back on the field and seen for the first time big games, and I went through it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. So, everybody, and then you get excited, and then you kind of settle into who you are, right?
Yeah, and I started getting injured back later on that season again, right? You just get happy to be back on the field. But I think more importantly, man, especially when you talk about a team game and being away from your team and not, having that same trust, that same backing, the people still believing in you, right? That's a big part of athletes when they're away from the game is, they don't believe in me anymore. They don't think I can do it anymore. So you kind of get that mentality, and you can't wait to show it getting back out there in the field. Or the court.
Russell Wilson's numbers are pretty good. Was reports of his demise greatly exaggerated? Where are you at with Russell Wilson?
Well, look, I think the whole thing with Russell Wilson in the first place was how he left Seattle, right? So you still got some fans that's pissed off at the way he left and how things happened, and kind of the talks that was coming out of the locker room and how he was to certain teammates. So there were a lot of people on Russell Wilson's back from the start, right? And almost in a way waiting to see the downfall so they can say, hey, it was Pete Carroll, maybe it was the Legion of Boom, maybe it was all these other factors that played into him being a great player. I don't think personally, I don't think he is what he was, right? I don't think, and practically no one is the same who they were 4 or 5 years ago. When you've been playing the game that long, there's very few many people to keep up that standard for that period of time. But he's still a quality player, and he's showing he's still a quality player. And look, I hope the best for him, man. He's been through a lot so far.
Is the NFL soft now? I would never say that. I would never say any football, I don't care, high school, college, D1, D2, D3, NFL. A lot of players are saying, this is flag football. Where are you at with that?
I always try to stay away from being like the old school guy that's saying, back in the day, we played with the leather helmets
right.
and we had no mouthpiece. This is just that. I try to stay away from that because I still am a kind of a tweener where, I'm still a young guy when it comes to being done with the game for the most part. But I think that it had to change, right? Like everything about what's going on today and just the world in general had to change. And they had to kind of move with the times, right? A lot of this information is out there about CTE and brain stuff. So, okay, the NFL said, okay, we're going to fix that problem. We're going to make cornerbacks, defensive players go low and hit you in the legs as opposed to hitting you upstairs. And we're going to flag you for it and we're going to fine you for it, right? So there's kind of a piggyback off everything that happened. But guys, the game has changed, man. They can't play as much as I would like to call guys soft nowadays in the game. They don't play as hard. They're forcing you not to. Some of these hits, on wide receivers and where you touch a quarterback when you're going in for a sack, it's almost impossible to play with the same mentality that's been there for the last, 2 decades. You can't do it.
Do you worry about CTE yourself?
No, I think, I got a 13-year-old son. I'm not ever really too worried about myself. I'm worried about, not being able to take care of the people around me and my health. So they would have to take care of me. But no, not really, man, to be honest. I think that it's a very serious thing. I know it's real. I know players who I played against and played with who had some struggles before. I just don't think that it's all about CTE as they always make it, right? I think there's other factors, right? Maybe guys, has other problems outside of CTE that now compounds with the CTE that he already has. And so that's when things happen. I just don't believe that, we play football, you're going to go crazy and you're going to go broke when you're done. I hate that narrative that people try to portray.
Gotta ask you, Tyreek Hill is almost on his way to 2,000 yards for a defensive player, particularly a defensive player as good as you were. How many problems is that? Is that the worst kind of guy to have to defend?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely the worst. Because, those guys, as a typical wide receiver, if he's a good route runner, he can beat you deep. He's going to get the ball. With Tyreek, it's nothing really to stop because he can take a 4 or 5 yard slant for 50 yards. He can find open space and then one missed tackle and he's gone. There's very few players like that. I may played against 3 in my lifetime where a guy can take the pass at any given time and take it up the field and just go. There isn't guys like that. And also, when it comes to Tyreek Hill, man, I think the NFL and fans and people voting for this MVP, they should really start opening their eyes to everybody outside the quarterback position or somebody outside the quarterback position, because what Tyreek Hill is doing right now is if he keeps up on this pace that he's going right now, he's going to set a record that probably won't be broken for a long time, if ever, in the NFL. And so they have to start looking outside of the quarterback position at MVPs.
I agree with you. He has no shot to win it, and the Raiders stink. But damn, Max Crosby, he's unbelievable. And if they had a better team, I think Jimmy G really struggles. I may be in the minority here. But, man, Crosby to me is a guy you go, wow, does he impact the game? Holy hell, this guy. Myles Garrett, too. Yeah.
I said that on Twitter, on X last night about Max Crosby and some of these guys that don't have really great offenses. And people don't understand how those two go together. The reason why in my career I was able to get so many sacks because we scored a lot of points, right? When we were up on teams 10-0, 14-0, 17-0, that's the time to go out and get those sacks. And it's hard if you're Myles Garrett. It's hard if you're Max Crosby. If the offenses aren't putting up points, you're always playing this guessing game. Are they going to run? Are they going to pass? Is it play action? Is it which kind of formation is going to come out because teams are always the close. And by the way, no team wants to throw against Max Crosby. No team wants to throw against Myles Garrett, right? And so they're not going to put themselves in bad situations if they don't have to. If any one of those teams had a good offense, who knows how many sacks these guys might get.
That's a great point. I didn't think about that point. You score points, teams are down. They're going to pass. I mean, if they run, good for them. But yeah, I didn't even think about that part of it. That's a hell of a point right there.
Yeah, and look, a lot of these guys will take the credit, and I damn sure took credit in my career for my sacks and defensive play, man. But the truth of the matter is, we at that time we put up so many points on offense. It was a clear picture if you're second and long, what a team had to do. And so I give any defensive player a lot of credit when your offense isn't that great, they're not putting up points, and you're still able to go out there and do what they're doing. And that goes to show how great Max Crosby, how great Myles Garrett is.
When I watched Garrett against the Colts, he was by far the best player, the most dominant, the most valuable player on that field. I mean, what he did over the top of the center and then bouncing up against sack. Yeah, it is fascinating. Let me go back to something. You said you played against only a couple guys like Tyreek Hill. Who in your world that you played against would be somewhat similar to Tyreek Hill, if you can remember?
Well, it was a guy like Charles, right? Jamal Charles that played running back. He was a guy for the Chiefs. Dante Hall was another guy who was just like that. Who would take a short pass and just go at any point in time. But I'm trying to think of that third person, man. I'm Tyreek. He may be that third person I've seen to be able to do that. I mean, you've had some very explosive wide receivers, but we haven't seen anything with a combination like Tyreek Hill, somebody who can literally run past you at any point in time, and this stop and go is incredible. I played with a Darren Sproles, right, who had a stop and go. The thing is that Tyreek Hill is bigger than Darren Sproles, with the same, if not faster, stop and go. And Darren, there was no one I saw with a stop and go like Darren Sproles. And Tyreek Hill has that at the wide receiver position. And also, too, he can run right by you. That's the scary part.
I remember you guys beat the Colts in a playoff game in like 9 or 10, I don't know. And Sproles was the littlest guy on the field. And I remember watching it going, Sproles the best player on the field. Like most, sometimes that's just the way it works out. The quickest guy, fastest guy, given an opportunity in space, wins the game for you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And look, I believe that Darren Sproles, when it comes to all-purpose, should be mentioned up there in the Hall of Fame one day. I don't know if he'll get in or not, but if you look at what he's done to the game and look at his stats and where he falls in that category with the rest of the guys, I believe that Darren Sproles could possibly should be up for the Hall of Fame. Whether he gets in or not, I don't know, but he definitely should be. And those guys don't come around. And we got drafted the same year, man. We had the same agent coming out of college. We were really close. We got a couple guys in that Chargers team that I think that should be up for a Hall of Fame at some point.
Rivers got to be a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, he's a guarantee. And I know we're going to talk about rings and all this other stuff because that's the most important thing to people nowadays. But the truth of the matter is, if you look at category and stats, he's up there with the best. And when you're up there with the best, you should be in the Hall of Fame with the best. And if people want to make that argument that maybe he should be our first ballot, okay, no problem. I can live with that. But he definitely should be a Hall of Famer.
Hey, what do you got going on? What are the fights? What do we got?
We got a big one, man. Lights Out Extreme Fighting 12 coming up in a few weeks, November 18th in Long Beach, California. You guys can get your tickets at lightsoutaccept.com. We got a huge card, man. Victor Rosas and Puente there. These guys, Victor from San Diego, we brought him up. This one's going to be a banger. We got Tommy Heron, who's Tony Ferguson's guy. Albert Morales, who's former UFC guys, fighting this card, fighting Ramos out of Nick and Nate Diaz's camp up north. We brought him down. AJ Hodgkins, we got in this fight as well, play linebacker at Oregon. We're stacked up, man. And we'll be live. We'll be live on Fubo. So if you guys don't have Fubo, make sure you get it. This one is going to be a big one. We sold out last time and had a few hundred people we sold out last time. I had a few hundred people outside. And so, I had somebody kind of running in and outside to give them updates because they wasn't able to go in there and, and see their guy. So, I felt bad about that. At some point in time, I got to go to a bigger venue. But right now, we're enjoying selling out. If you guys don't have football out there, get it, man. This is our biggest card. We're going to have a couple guys from this card, I guarantee, to end up going off to the UFC at some point.
All right, man. I love it. Hey, that's a good problem to have. You got to get a bigger venue. Keep rolling, brother. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you.
You got it, man. Thanks for having me.
That's the great Shawne Merriman. Yeah, dude, go get Fubo and check out his card, man. The UFC, as you know, is rolling. He's got big-time guys coming in there in a great venue. I was watching it last time. It's terrific. And you know what? I'm not that big a UFC fan, but I like Shawne, so I got it. I watched it, and it was great. It was. I mean, look, I don't know what to tell you. It's not like I can do any of the moves, not like I can do anything, but that's one of the reasons I like it. I do. Hey, the YouTube chat is morphed into whether women should get reductions. And no, the YouTube chat, the answer is no. No. Every time a woman decides not to get a reduction, an angel gets their wings. They just do. I'm sorry. God made those big, bold, and beautiful, or small, perky, and wonderful. The YouTube chat is just all over the place right now, and I ain't even mad at it. I'm not mad at it even a little bit. No to reductions. I was watching 2.5 Men, and Alan was trying to talk Chelsea into a reduction. I wanted to jump through the screen and pop him. Look, what can I tell you? You like what you like, and I like those. Always have, always will. Some people like other things. I like it all. What can I tell you? I don't know. Sean Black says bigger is better. Always go with bigger. It's why God made silicone. It's why God made implants. What are you talking about? Stop it. What a chat we got. What the hell? Oh, man, that's pretty funny. You are welcome, Gritty. You are more than welcome. If you got them, flaunt them. Hell yeah. Yeah. What the hell? Anyway, all right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time for a Top 5 Tuesday. And on Tuesday, which, by the way, is today, yeah, and it is Halloween. I dressed up like Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction. Lee went as Winston Wolfe. And you know what? It was spectacular at Clay Travis's party. I got to tell you, though, because I went to a party on the 29th or whatever Saturday was, it feels like Halloween is over. You know what I mean? We got dressed up. Everybody there was dressed up. The lovely, the uber-talented Kelly in Vegas was there dressed up. Ariel Epstein was all dressed up. Clay was dressed up. An assorted guy had a Deion Sanders outfit. Riley Gaines and her husband. Riley went, it was the greatest costume ever. Riley went as Riley Gaines, and her husband went as Leah Thomas. And he's like, man, these little singlets are so tight, my packy's all over the place. Well, good for him. He wore a swimmer's jacket. But it was fantastic. And so now it's like, wait a second here. It is over, but it's not. Now, I live in an area, I don't know about you guys or where you live, but I live in an area where I don't get Halloween. We live in a neighborhood, but my house is kind of down and it's dark. And frankly, it's a pain in the backside to get back up the hill. Like taking out the garbage for me is god awful. It is horrendous. Awful. Awful. But anyway, people don't come, but I still got to get candy just in case. I mean, you don't want to be the slap that doesn't have candy. My wife is advocating, get in the basement, turn off all the lights, and don't even appear to be home. I could advocate for that as well, but I'm still getting the candy. Otherwise, I would have Bill Martin. I would have dressed up. All right, let's get to it. Top 5 Heisman Trophy candidates. I'm going to give this to you every single Tuesday as we move forward. Look, I know Caleb Williams has had big numbers. I know Caleb Williams, the defense is a real problem with USC. I know this, you know this. If you're paying attention to the college football, then you know this. But the fact of the matter is, I've had enough of Caleb Williams. So he's number 5. Look, being number 5 on the Danny D list of Heisman Trophy candidates is not a bad thing. In fact, I would argue it makes you one of the 5 best football players in the history of the world. Or at least this year, one of the 2. I'm just saying he's number 5. Look, fantastic numbers. He's throwing the ball. They're scoring points. But I'm tired of him. You know one thing you can do, and this always happens. It happened with Tebow, and it's happened with others that come back for a second year and try to win the Heisman. You get a little bit of fatigue. Connie Harris says you may need a reduction if you have a size H. What the hell's a size H, Connie? Yikes. My neighbor used to put Big Boob magazine on my car when I was in college or just out of college. He would put these pictures at size H. Anyway, let's get back. Caleb Williams, I'm just tired of you. We get tired of people. Like, I see him all the time in those commercials, and frankly, he's unlikable. Like Charles Barkley, likable. Steph Curry, likable. Peyton Manning, likable. You see him on a commercial, they're likable. The guy on the Allstate commercial, who's chaos like me, Dennis Duffy from 30 Rock, likable. He's not likable. Dan, does it have to be a quarterback? Hang in there with me, because number 4 is Marvin Harrison Jr. Now look, Marvin Harrison Jr. has a chance to win the Heisman. People say he has no chance. Oh, contraire. Contraire. He absolutely has a chance to win the Heisman. He's the go-to guy for Ohio State, and guess what? The Ohio State-Michigan game is going to determine a lot about the Heisman. I'm not putting J.J. McCaffrey on here because his team cheats. His team cheats. I have a fundamental objection to a team that cheats. If you know what the defensive signals are, then you're going to be a better quarterback. They cheat. He cheats. They're cheaters. I don't like them. I've never respected them. And when I lose respect for you, like I did with Doyle and others, I just can't stop talking about them. Some people, when they lose respect for something, they go the other way. They don't pay attention to him. They leave him alone. I wish I was like that, but not me. So J.J. McCarthy is out of here. Now, the Ohio State-Michigan game is going to determine a lot for Harrison. He needs to put up numbers, continue to put up numbers, continue to be big in the biggest of moments, which he was against Penn State, and he needs to continue to do that, obviously. You know, you can't go one catch for 7 yards and all of a sudden play well against Michigan and you're going to be a Heisman Trophy winner. No, Marvin Harrison Jr. has a chance, but he's got to keep putting up really good numbers against Purdue, or whoever the hell they're playing this week. Michigan plays Purdue. I don't even pay attention to Ohio State until they take on Michigan from this point on because they're kind of boring. But anyway, Harris. Hey, this Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis is number 3. Jordan Travis is one of those guys that is going to be is not one of those guys. He is sorely underrated. All I know is I look around every Saturday and I see highlights of Florida State. All I know is I see Jordan Travis doing something pretty damn spectacular. And if you don't know who he is, he's the quarterback of Florida State. All I know is I see him constantly rolling out, dodging somebody, throwing a football about 7,622 yards. And all I know is Jordan Travis has his team on the cusp of being back where Florida State hasn't been back in a long, long time. In fact, I would argue that Florida State is already there because they're getting talked about on Danny D's show. And if you get talked about at this point on Danny D's show, then you're good to go. Obviously, he's got work to do. Obviously, Bo Nix and others are going to play big games. You're going to play him a different time. Okay, fine. But I'm just telling you, man, Jordan Travis is a sleeper for this Heisman Trophy. I got him at number 3. Bo Nix is number 2. Bo Nix has started more football games than anybody in the history. Now, I'm going to say this again, in the history of whatever you call this, college football, playoff level football, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, Bo Nix has been a bad boy. Bo Nix has been damn good. Don't sleep on Bo Nix. I remember Daddy when he played back in the day for Auburn. But Bo Nix, now, he's going to have to beat Oregon, and he's going to have to win the Pac-12 championship game, even though I think that all the votes are in, which is really stupid, before the championship games. Look, the biggest games of the year are coming up. You know, it's that deal that I used to say, you put yourself in position. Are we in position to be in position? Meaning we got to win these games, and that puts us in position to be in the position of winning a national championship. It's very confusing. It's very, very, very confusing. But I got to tell you, it makes sense. So now Oregon, maybe against, what's wrong with me? Washington in a rematch, maybe that'll determine the Heisman. Because my number one guy is still Michael Penix. Whine all you'd like, bitch all you'd like, moan all you'd like, but right now Michael Penix is the favorite for the Heisman. He had the preseason hype, and he's lived up to it. In the biggest game of the year thus far, Washington and Oregon, he made the biggest of plays. He got it done late. And look, let's be honest, every quarterback that plays at a big Division I team that is a Heisman Trophy candidate is going to put up monster numbers. But you got to do it in the biggest of moments. One of the reasons I like Jordan Travis is because he's elevated an entire program. Now, the kid's 23, Travis. All these quarterbacks are a little bit old, but the bottom line is they're also playing really well. There is no bias here because this guy, Penix, played at Indiana. I don't care if he played at Indiana. What do I care if he played at Indiana? He left Indiana. I should be mad at him, but I understand leaving Indiana for greener pastures, particularly in this wild, wild west of NCAA free agency. Indiana players aren't getting much money. Oregon, Washington, those type players are getting a ton of green. I mean a ton of green. So guess what? I'm all in on it. Good for him. There is no bias, but I will say this. Michael Penix Jr. is the front runner right now, but I got to tell you, all the 5 guys that I mentioned, including probably J.J. McCarthy, could win this. Look, I'm not saying Caleb Williams can't win it. I'm just saying I'm tired of him. Aren't you a little tired of him? Hey, by the way, dummies on the internet are saying that Simone Biles is not getting the attention she deserves for being at being at NFL games because she's black. She's not getting the Taylor Swift treatment because she's black and Taylor's white. Or maybe it's because Simone Biles quit in the Olympics. She got the twisties. And maybe, just maybe, it's because the dude she's married to is some nondescript player on the Green Bay Packers. Taylor Swift is an international superstar, which you can make the argument Simone Biles is, but she's in the entertainment world. We only really pay attention. I get it, women and others, ESPN, they want us to pay attention to gymnastics outside of the Olympics, but we really don't care. Why would we care? We could care less about about gymnastics outside of the Olympics. I mean, Livy Dunn is getting paid a lot of money to take off all her clothes, put her finger in her mouth, but she didn't even participate last year. She was injured. I will say this about gymnasts, though. They're the toughest athletes in the world. I saw a woman, an NCAA champ named Manny Ostertag. She was she was Dutch, I think. She was at Bowling Green. Bowling Green had a good gymnastics program. She won a national championship there. I remember I was walking over. The friend of mine, Dan Conley, was the coach, and I thought I'd go over and watch. Well, Marnie, in between, is smoking a cigarette in the bushes. That's my kind of woman. That's my kind of gymnast. I don't like smoking in my women, but hey, in between, you're burning a heater and going out and winning an NCAA title, I'm all for you. And anybody that knows anything about gymnastics knows these women battle, men too, play with injuries that NFL players would never dream of, that would keep NBA players out for damn near a lifetime. And it's glorious. But don't give me this crap about it's racist. Hey, look, if it is or you think it is, good for you. Yay, Rod, go fight, win. Everything's racist. It's racist that I'm the only guy on here and I'm white. Everything's racist. Racist this, racist that. I don't want to hear it. Nothing racist about it. One of the biggest stars in the NFL is dating an international pop star. That's got greatness written all over it. So, you know what, Simone Biles and you people that think it's racist, I got 2 words for you. There you go. We'll be right back. I got emails. Hey, Otter Creek, did you leave us a voicemail? I heard you did. I got emails. I got freaking voicemails. I love it. Stay right here.
A beast of a biological man, Artemis Langford, scored a major pervert victory after a Wyoming district court judge ruled the women, the real women of the Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority, couldn't prevent Langford from living in their sorority house. This despite their claims of Artemis, a 6'2" giant, having a visible erection around the ladies, despite their claims that Artemis would sneak photos of them at slumber parties, despite the fact that trans Artemis is a heterosexual with sexual interest in women and a Tinder profile seeking to match with women. This isn't just a miscarriage of justice. This is a perversion of women's rights, the feminist movement, and the right of real women to feel safe in spaces meant for them. I am repulsed and disgusted. But Artemis? Artemis reportedly broke down in tears after the judge dismissed the lawsuit, saying, quote, "Maybe I can just be another student on campus, another regular sister in the Wyoming chapter of Kappa Kappa Gamma. Maybe I can just be me." Or maybe you could have the decency to allow women to have a safe space of their own in a sorority house without having to be exposed to the outline of your erection, Artemis. But just look at how the joke of a news outlet, the Washington Post, is choosing to frame this story. Her sisters turned on her? Are you freaking kidding me? This situation is egregious enough without the media actively demonizing the women who simply wanted to feel safe in private in their own sorority house. And this is also downright gross. Why should the identity crisis of one biological male trump the safety, privacy, and rights of these young women? This is not a win for inclusion or equality. This is a win for perverts who will use this decision and this BS narrative to prey on women.
Hey, welcome back. We are here. We are ready to rock and roll. And ladies and gentlemen, we got us some emails. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We got us some emails. We got us some voicemail. And you know what? For the most part, you all have been very nice. I don't know what's going on around here. I feel like I don't even know my listeners anymore, but I appreciate you being here, particularly all you guys that show up every single day on YouTube. Yeah, don't ever change. Gritty, don't be changing. Sean Black, you kidding me? Van Pastor, man, keep defending me. I appreciate you. Anyway, let's talk about some emails here. Email number one, Greg from North Carolina says, "Hey, Dan, love the show. Love the show. Can you do more college football? Michigan is A. Play somebody." That's what I've been saying. I feel like we've talked a lot of college football today and we'll do it tomorrow as well. We will get into the, we will get into the top 5 as it is going to be announced tonight. And, I'm really kind of interested in that. I'm interested in the top 4, and then they'll put the other 2 in for a top 6. I'm very interested in that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see what in the hell's going on tonight. But we'll talk college football. Do whatever you want. All right. What? This is my favorite kind of stuff. Anybody that knows me knows that I love giving life advice. And I got to tell you, you guys don't know this, but people from all over the country come to me for life advice. Coaches from all over the country. All right, you ready? Here's the deal. Linda from Clarksville, Texas. Hey, Dan, need your advice. I love my sister to death. All right, that's a good start. I love my sister to death. Okay, where are we going from here? This is going to be a problem if I cannot see this. I love my sister to death, but telling her if she wasn't such a bitch that her kids would be included more, I like this. What? What are we saying here? What is going on here? I like this. Hey, yeah, it's on my rundown. I got to go find my rundown. Hey, if my sister wasn't such a bitch, well, here's what you got to do. I'll give you life advice. First and foremost, sit your sister down. Look, if you start out with, "Hey, sis, you're a bitch," it ain't going to go so well. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. Say, yo, here's the deal. Nobody likes to be around a pain in the ass. No one likes to be around a little batch. Certainly not me, and certainly not your kids. So cut it out. Just cut it out. Nobody wants to be around it. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to know about it. And we don't want to see it. So stop it. Let me read it again. Let's see what we got. Hey, Dan, need your advice. Love my sister to death, but she can be a real backhanded. Oh, she called me complaining that her kids never really hang out with my own. Oh, okay. Am I a ass for telling her if she wasn't such a bitch that her kids would be included more? Yeah, you got to. Let me change my whole last segment. Send me the next one, too. I'm trying to get on here. No. You're exactly right. Here's the deal. You got to say, look, I don't like hanging out with you. I love your kids. I love my nieces. I love my nephews. I think they're great. But I got to tell you, you're a pain in the ass to everybody, and I'm done with it. So let's come to a thing here. Don't get mad at me. You're my sister, and I got to be able to tell you. I just told my mom the other day, look, you got to straighten me out sometimes. I need straightened out. It's your sister. Don't be afraid to tell her. She'll hate you for a minute. Look, sis, you're a bitch. You're acting like, you're not a bitch, but you're acting like one. Stop it. And we'll all be a happy family. Do some evaluating. Stop it. Hey, Cindy from Terre Haute, you may not like this, Dan, but it needs to be said. My husband won't let me turn. Oh, I don't like it already. I don't know if these are real. We got a lot of women. I don't know if these are real, but I ain't mad at it. Hold on. You might not like this, Dan, but it needs to be said. My husband won't let me turn on the heat downstairs because the boiler is making a weird noise. It's been a week. He hasn't called anyone to look at it. It's currently 51 degrees down there. I have poor circulation. My feet and toes start turning white easily when I'm really cold. And yes, I just called someone myself to come look at the boiler, so now he's mad at me. Therefore, I'm canceling his red zone until he freaking changes. There's no way that's real, Nick. I think you're BSing me, Nick. I think you are. But I'll answer your question. I love this. Look, understand, men are simple. Men are so simple. I'm telling you, we're so simple, and women don't understand it. Women don't understand, or maybe she does here, women don't understand that we can literally sit there on a Sunday with a pizza, a Coke, a beer, whatever you like, maybe some wings, and be completely and totally happy. Let me say that again. Not somewhat happy. Completely and totally happy. We can sit there and watch, and if you sit down and watch, you're thinking, women, of all the things that got to do. I got to do this. I got to do that. I can't believe this thing split. No. Men can just sit there and watch, and it makes you nuts. I know it makes you nuts, but I'm not mad at you. You know what? We're built differently. That's okay. But don't get mad at guys when they can sit and watch. So if you're trying to discipline your man, taking away the red zone, while harsh, is not as harsh as having to sit in 51-degree weather in your own house. That's freezing, particularly if you got bad circulation. I'll give you a different way to go about it. You know, I don't know what your sex life is, but instead of punishing him, use his simple brain. Do something, that maybe you don't like to do, but he likes to have done to him. And then normally, right when he's about ready to, jump up and say, hey, we can continue this, but only if you call the guy to fix the damn furnace. There's no way that's real. Somebody in my ear, I won't say it on air, there's no way that's real, but I like it. I like your guys' imagination. If you got emails, you're thinking it's fake? Somebody faked this? Yeah. All right. Fair enough. All right, let's go to the voicemail. It's real, according to Nick. Both Nicks are saying real as can be. Dan, I can't fabricate the female mindset. No, you can't. I'm telling you, though. Hey, let me tell you something. Here's what I got to do on Sunday. I got to go to church, fine, because of Catholic guilt. Then I got to do something, work out or whatever. And then once about 1:30 comes, I don't need to watch the start of the game. 1:30 comes, I can sit my fat you-know-what right over there and be happy as a clam. And not move for I don't even know how quick. All right, voicemails, let's hear them.
Woo-hoo. Hey, this is Chaplain Doyle Thomas. I didn't recognize you without your hair, but I recognize the voice because I remember all the Ohio State basketball games you used to and have done. But, yeah. You are hilarious. Dude, young man, you are hilarious. I love you, man. You're awesome. All the Michigan fans, they cannot accept this. They call it NCAA corrupt, and they need to investigate it and yada, yada, yada. It's just, it's hilarious. They can't, they're like the Biden administration, Sleepy Joe, nursing home, Sleepy Joe. can't accept the truth. The Democrats can't accept the truth when it's blatantly put in front of them, and they'll come up with every excuse known to man.
All right. Next.
Dockage, I know we pissed on some of the same bushes in Bloomington behind the Bluebird back in the day, but we need to go ahead and have a pay-per-view match of you and Greg Doyle. Mano e mano. Sack up, dude. This is Brett, North Carolina. Let's see it.
The bushes behind the Bluebird, look, I'm an outside peer. There will be a time when Gary and Clay probably have to make a decision, and Aaron, whether they keep me on as a host, because at some point, because of this condition I got, I am going to be arrested for peeing outside. Now, I'm just telling you. I do. I'm dry, and it hits me, and I've talked to my doctor about it. And I literally jump out of the car, and I go, all right, I'm sorry. And so, yes, I have peed in the bushes behind the Bluebird. Look, I'm 61 years old. I'll throw hands with anybody. I ain't afraid. Damn it. I ain't afraid of no scrawny little guy like Doyle. I ain't afraid of nobody. But I tell you this, I may get arrested for peeing on the way to the bout. Or I may pee during the bout because I hate to admit it. I don't want to admit it. But it's kind of who I am. It drives my kids nuts, or they don't ride with me long distance anymore, but it drives my wife nuts. I'm like, I got to go. She goes, you just went. I go, I know. And it's either that or I got to get a diaper. So if anybody wants to send me adult well, I don't have a business address anymore. Somebody did send me adult diapers, but I guarantee you that guy did, and I did pee in the same bushes behind the Bluebird because the Bluebird was a place for live music, and I loved it there, particularly when Dr. Bop and the headliners were playing. Next!
Hey, Coach, this is the Otter Creek, man. I was just testing out the line, but we got shit to come, man. We got a lot of rants, a lot of raves, and we're going to do this. Love you. Talk to you soon.
That's my man, Otter Creek. Otter Creek, Sean Black showed up at our golf outing. It was glorious, Otter. Otter was sitting over there by himself in the postgame. Everybody had left. We were sitting around a table. I'm like, Otter Creek, get your ass over here, man. He's been a great supporter of ours. We love you, Otter Creek. Please feel free. And here is the number, 929-687-3842. 929-687-3941. I don't know where I got 42 from. I have no idea, so let me do it again. 929-687-3941. How did I get 42? I don't know. And, of course, the email, outkickdockage@gmail.com. Look, I understand. I like it cold, but I don't like it 51 degrees cold. What is wrong with yous people? Yous people are cray-cray. as my daughter says. My daughter talks in a language that I don't even know. Dad, you're cray-cray. Oh, all right. Hey, it's a man after my own heart. You guys know what I'm talking about. My Serbian brother, Nikola Jokic. You know how we talked about biggins and we celebrate the biggins. We celebrate some size. It's what we do. Well, there's a player. His name is Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren, and I talked about this when he got drafted. They were talking about he was the latest unicorn, Porzingis and then Holmgren and now Wembanyama. But here's the difference. Both Porzingis and Wembanyama have broad shoulders. Chet Holmgren's shoulders are this wide. His hips are this wide. It's a big difference from gaining weight. So Nikola Jokic, my Serbian brother, has given advice to Chet Holmgren, and this is advice we all like: get fatter. The man said, get fatter. The man said, hey, look, he's a really talented guy, but this is his first year. He's still learning everything, the game, how quick it is, where he's at an advantage, where he's at a disadvantage. I think he needs experience. I also think he needs to get a little fatter, to be honest. That's right. That's right. Now, what he's saying is he needs to get bigger and stronger. But see, us Serbians, we just say what we feel. We say what we think. We think what we say. And the idea of fatter is how we would describe it. And people oftentimes take that and run with it the wrong way. I'm not mad at fatter. In fact, I like fatter. Fatter is gut. Fatter ist gut. And that's the way you should say. You got to get fatter. You got to get bigger. That's how we talk. I mean, I understand you talk in perfect English. All right. I don't. Hey, we talked about Will Levis a little earlier, and we probably should clear this up. Mike Vrabel, who is our favorite coach because he gave 4 sideline passes and 4 great seats to the Colts game December 3rd at the Tennessee Titans, which we auctioned off at our golf outing, and we absolutely love him. So he made the announcement that Will Levis is now the starting quarterback going forward. All right, there you go. That's a good move. See, here's what happens with a starting quarterback. A starting quarterback that you got in the draft that makes a great debut. First off, the great debut. Nothing in life is more true than first impressions are the most lasting. They just simply are. Get mad, glad, angry, or sad. They are. Will Levis, first impression, great. Anthony Richardson, first impression with the Colts, great. What does it do? It gives a city hope. It gives a team hope. It gives a franchise hope. It gives hope. You don't have to sweat who we're going to take in the next draft. We got our guy. Now let's go get some pieces around him. And to that point, I found this yesterday. One of the great things about the NFL is this. The NFL does this. Well, guess what? The NFL somehow, some way rewards winning. It just does. Here's the deal. But the NFL doesn't reward losing except in one place, ladies and gentlemen. And where is that? Indianapolis. Our general manager in his 7th season, coming off of a guy that went 52-34, so he did not take over like Grigson did 2-14. Our general manager here is 49-59-1. He's on his 8th starting quarterback in 7 years. His 5th head coach has won 0 division titles now. But we have hope. Why do we have hope? Because Anthony Richardson, who is 2-2, hasn't finished a game, and is on the IR, gave us hope. Oh, man, if we can keep him healthy. Oh, man, he's the goods. Down with hope, up with dope. Or down with dope, up with hope. However you see it. But the one thing you cannot do is mess with winning. You don't do it. You don't fire a coach that's been winning. That's why Vrabel should have no problem. He's been winning. You mess with winning. I did it as a coach. We were winning more than they had ever won at Bowling Green, and I messed with it. I started taking chances on a little bit higher end recruit. I did. I started taking chances. And you know what? Those guys weren't nearly as coachable. Not nearly as coachable. But you know what? And we didn't win. We didn't win. You know what I'm saying? We didn't win, and then guys got hurt, and it was a pain. Don't mess with winning. Period. I don't know whether or not we talked enough about Simone Biles, but I will say this. She's a fantastic gymnast. Fantastic. And anybody that's mad at her, you can be mad at Simone Biles for not being on TV as much, but I don't think racism has anything to do with it. I saw one person said the NFL doesn't care about black people being married. Well, that may or may not be true. I'm not in the NFL. I don't know. But what I do know is the NFL and every league gives a rat's ass about, you know what? Taylor Swift. Why? Because Taylor Swift does things like increase the popularity of Travis Kelce by over 1 million followers on his various social media platforms. Now, I don't know whether you all agree with that, whether you disagree with that, but that's big in the world that we live in. Taylor Swift has introduced the world to NFL football, a world that would have never seen NFL football. If it were Michael Jackson, who, oh, by the way, was black, or Prince, who, oh, by the way, was black, dating an NFL player, guess what? It would have been a big deal. If Beyonce leaves Jay-Z and she starts dating, I don't know, Saquon Barkley, and she shows up at games and she's going on tour, guess what? It'd be a big deal. That walked out of the Olympics, I don't know, no matter that she's the greatest Olympian ever. So don't at me about this crap, people. Don't at me. Not everything is about you, African-American folks. Not everything is about me, white dude. Sometimes you got to embrace, as we do on this show, Dr. Martin Luther King, when he said, we judge folks by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And in the modern world, we judge folks by their amount of Twitter followers, Instagram followers, and clout, not the content of their character or the color of their skin. That's what we do. And if you think I'm wrong, I got 2 words for you. Don't at me, Joe Biden style. But it's true. It is. It's true. And you guys, you can make a deal about it. You can say this, that, or the other. It won't because she's black. You know how the NFL feel about black people. Yeah, they feel great about them. 75% of the players are black. Every coach you see on the sideline now is black. Every administrator is black. Every referee is black. Yeah, I know how they feel about it. They feel great about them, and they should. Now, you know they're not going to promote black love because the Tyler, she says, and Kelce is all propaganda. How about we promote English? I don't know. I'm just saying. They're not trying to promote black people being married. Be real. These people are our enemies. Really? Man, I got to tell you, brothers and sisters, if the NFL is your enemy, wow, it's a good enemy to have. It's amazing. See, everything is. I said yesterday that 9 people shot in Indy, 1 killed, all teenagers. I said, I guarantee you the shooters didn't have a father. You're racist. Okay. I mean, used to be being called racist, it would scare you like, oh my God, I hope not going to say it. No, who cares? I mean, if you're going to call it racism that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are promoted and not Simone Biles and some nondescript guy with the Packers, God bless you. If you don't understand, like many didn't when Tony Dungy talked about, hey, look, he parroted the same thing Obama said, which is, hey, look, fatherless families are killing our country. And they're right. If you think that's racist, God bless you. What can I tell you? You probably think the word "the" is racist. Anyway, I got 2 words for you. Bite me. All right. By the way, the NFL told Houston to stop using the Oils-inspired uniforms. I thought the uniforms were great. They're saying it's trademark infringement on the old Oilers. What are you going to do? And by the way, rejoice. Rejoice, Iowa fans. Your national nightmare is over. Your offensive coordinator, Brian Ferentz, son of Kirk, the head coach, is out. Beth Getz, the AD who came over from Ball State, said, hey, we're going to let you coach through the bowl, but you got to go. I wonder which donors got to the ear of old Ms. Getz. Iowa's like 6-2. Like, Iowa's having a pretty good year. 6-2, that's pretty good. But hey, money talks, BS walks, and that's just, as my ex-mother-in-law would say, Dems the berries. All right, I can't do woke-a-dope today because for whatever the reason, my internet blows and I cannot see anything on this internet today. So if you woke-a-dope me, I'm not going to be able to see it for some crazy-ass reason, and it's making me N-U-T-Z. But anyway, I got more stuff to talk about. One of the things that I'm going to talk to you about is simply this. McDonald's breakfast is the best breakfast you can find. Now look, do yourself a favor. In the debate about breakfast, McDonald's is the best, but don't go there. Go to Lincoln Square. Go to some local place for your breakfast. Everybody makes a good breakfast. And no question, McDonald's, the McGriddle is off the chain. Yo, the Big Mac, I go with two McMuffins usually, or I go with an Egg McMuffin and a sausage burrito. But I'm here to implore you, stop going to corporate businesses and start going local. Eat, drink, smoke local. That's right, I said smoke local. Go to your local ganja man. Don't go to some dispensary. Go to your local bar, not frickin' Fridays. Go local. Go to Joe's. Go to CJ's. Go to AJ's. Go to Wolfie's. Go someplace local. Drink and eat and smoke local. Have sex local. Local brothels only. Make sure you do that. Seriously, there's a big debate on McDonald's and its breakfast, and I'm down with it. I think McDonald's breakfasts are the great. I think they're fantastic. I don't know whether that's real eggs or fake eggs, but I know it's good. But it's not as good as Lincoln Square right over here. I'm just telling you. It's not as good as the Roost. It's not as good as Rise. Eat freaking local. Dan, your reading comprehension stinks. No, it really doesn't. PD, let me know why my reading comprehension stinks. My reading comprehension is fantastic. I cannot add, I cannot subtract, I cannot multiply, divide, I cannot do anything, but I can do English. I can. I took 30 days to a more powerful vocabulary when I was a kid. My reading comprehension, PD, is fantastic. Okay, I sent a tweet out that was a little confusing. I got 2 words for you. Bite me now, Joe Biden style. I don't know. Rosie's, fantastic. Gritty says, Indy Star headline, DD promoting local weed dealers. Gritty doesn't think anybody would have the sex with Greg Doyle. Well, the ugliest woman on ESPN, true story. ESPN reporter certainly did. She was married, he was married. I don't know what to tell you. You like what you like. I think you do. I think you do. I do. I think you do. Hey, Dan, I used to love this donut shop in Broadway because it was just plain Jane breakfast place. Are there any places like that still around the Roost? Roost is fantastic. The one right downtown Zionsville is fantastic. Rosie's, I think, is unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. Flapjacks, tremendous. Tremendous. There's a fast food place in Zionsville. It was right by Amori's Pizza, but all the waitresses had big zits on them, and I couldn't go. I'm sorry. I learned that from Yanko of Little Zagreb's. He always hired really hot sorority girls to be the waitress. It was like a Seinfeld episode. And I talked to him one time about it. He goes, yeah, no acne. You can't have waiters and waitresses with acne. I'm telling you, it ruins the dining experience. It does. Well, guess what? There's a pretty good breakfast place in Zionsville in a strip mall right next to the Subway shop, and 2 things were wrong. One, it smelled of bread, not the good bread, the Subway bread, and 2, all the waitresses had zits. I don't need zits. I don't need some pimple popper right there popping a zit in my food. That's what I think. That's the way I think. I'm sick. But we had a great show today. Shawne Merriman, fantastic. Chad Withrow. I'm going to be with Chad and Jonathan, 4 o'clock today. So join us. I got to do a basketball podcast, and I got to go to lunch with my friend Reggie Jones. Reggie and I are going to go to Fat Dan's this afternoon down in, I think it's downtown or off of College. And I got to tell you, Reggie Jones and I solve all of the world's problems, and I'm looking forward to it. Peace out. Word to your mother. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick, too. Thank you, Beth the Booker, Haley, Katie, of course, Aaron, Dylan, Ryan, and Gary, and the boss man, Clay. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.